Admiral Krex stared at his tactical display in growing horror. 5 hours had passed since the execution, and his carefully ordered galaxy was collapsing around him. The display showed a map that would have been unrecognizable that morning, red zones, marking the complete destruction of Federation military power across 2/3 of their territory. "Sir," his communications officer announced, her voice barely controlled, "we're receiving a transmission on all frequencies. The source is everywhere simultaneously." The main screen flickered and resolved into the image of a human woman in military uniform. Behind her, Krexith could see what appeared to be a command center unlike anything in Federation databases, walls that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions, control systems that operated through quantum manipulation, displays showing real-time tactical data from across the galaxy. "I am Admiral Sarah Martinez, Commander of the Terran Quantum Defense Force," the woman said, her voice calm and professional. "I am addressing the Galactic Federation leadership regarding your unprovoked acts of genocide against human populations." Krex activated his response transmitter. "This is Admiral Krex of the Federation Fourth Fleet. You are in violation of galactic law and will surrender immediately or face the consequences." Admiral Martinez smiled, an expression that didn't reach her eyes. "Admiral, your Fourth Fleet ceased to exist approximately 4 hours ago, as did your 3rd, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th Fleets. You currently command exactly 0 operational military assets outside the core worlds." "Impossible. Our fleets were spread across the galaxy. No force could coordinate attacks on such a scale." "You're correct that no conventional force could accomplish this. Fortunately, quantum dimensional warfare isn't bound by conventional limitations." Martinez gestured, and the display behind her shifted to show real-time footage from across Federation space. "As we speak, the last of your outer sector installations are being neutralized. Your monitoring stations, supply depots, and patrol fleets have been systematically eliminated." The footage showed scenes that defied every principle of warfare Krex understood. Massive human vessels materialized from folded spacetime, their weapons reducing Federation installations to component atoms with surgical precision. The attacks avoided all civilian populations while completely annihilating military targets. "What do you want?" Krex asked, his authority crumbling as he watched his empire disappear. "Justice," Martinez replied. "For 3 years, the Federation has systematically oppressed human colonies. You've outlawed our language, our customs, our right to exist as a free species. You've enslaved our people, executed our children, and today you murdered one of our finest soldiers on live transmission." She paused, her expression hardening. "Staff Sergeant Marcus Chun died protecting innocent civilians from Federation genocide on Kepler 442b. His death was the final provocation in a chain of war crimes that demands answer. On Zentari Prime, Counselor Zarquin materialized in Krex's command center, his energy form pulsing with desperate orange light. "Admiral, we must negotiate. Our deep space monitoring stations report human vessels approaching the core worlds. The technology they're displaying exceeds our understanding of physics." Admiral Martinez continued her transmission. "The Federation leadership will present themselves for trial within 24 standard hours. All human populations currently held in Federation labor camps will be immediately released. Federation forces will withdraw from all systems containing human colonies, and reparations will be paid for 3 years of war crimes. And if we refuse?" Krex demanded. The display behind Martinez shifted to show the outer edge of the Sol system. What Krex saw there made his blood turn cold. Hundreds of massive vessels hung in space around Earth, each one larger than the Federation's biggest dreadnoughts. Their hulls seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, covered in geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. "These are just the vessels we're allowing you to see," Martinez explained. "Our main battle fleet operates in quantum dimensions that your sensors cannot detect. We have been preparing for this conflict since the day we signed your charter, knowing that eventually your true nature would reveal itself." "Dr. Kexlian," still observing from his research station, transmitted desperate reports to Federation Command. The human vessels are demonstrating matter manipulation capabilities beyond our theoretical understanding. They're literally rewriting the laws of physics in localized areas. Our weapons cannot function in the quantum fields they generate. How many ships do they have? Krexith asked. Sir, that question may not have meaning. These vessels seem to exist in quantum superposition. They could be one ship appearing in multiple locations, or thousands of ships occupying the same space. The technology is beyond our ability to analyze. Admiral Martinez checked something off-screen, then returned her attention to the camera. Admiral, I'm receiving reports that Federation forces are attempting to use human civilians as shields. This is your only warning. Any harm to human non-combatants will result in the complete elimination of Federation civilization. You're bluffing, Krextage said, but his confidence was gone. No species possesses the capability to threaten our entire civilization. Observe the Rigel system, Martinez replied calmly. Every sensor in Federation space turned toward the distant star system. What they saw defied comprehension. A human vessel roughly the size of a small moon had positioned itself near the Rigel star itself. Energy fields surrounded the massive craft as it began, manipulating stellar material on an impossible scale. That vessel is demonstrating our ability to trigger controlled stellar fusion events, Martinez explained. We can cause any star in Federation space to go nova with approximately 30 minutes advance notice. The technology is called quantum stellar engineering, and we have vessels in position around every core world star system. The threat was beyond anything the Federation had imagined possible. The ability to trigger stellar events meant humans could eliminate entire star systems at will. The implications were staggering. This is genocide, Counselor Zarquin protested, his energy form now pulsing with terrified yellow light. No, Martinez corrected. This is justice. Genocide is what you attempted on human populations. What we're offering is proportional response with the option for survival if you accept our terms. On Earth, President Chun watched the proceedings from the Quantum Command Center buried beneath the Rocky Mountains. The facility existed partially outside normal spacetime, protected by dimensional shields that made it effectively invulnerable to any known weapon. Admiral, she said through the quantum communication link, status of the rescue operations? All human prisoners have been extracted from Federation labor camps, Martinez reported. Quantum teleportation allowed us to bypass their security entirely. Total casualties among rescued personnel, 0. However, the medical teams report extensive evidence of systematic abuse and execution. President Chun's jaw tightened. Document everything. When this is over, the galaxy needs to understand exactly what the Federation's peaceful expansion really meant. Back on Zentari Prime, Admiral Krext was receiving reports that painted a picture of complete military collapse. Every Federation fleet had been eliminated. Every military installation was gone. Weapons that could trigger stellar events were aimed at every major population center. The humans had demonstrated technological superiority that made resistance pointless. Sir, his intelligence officer reported, we're receiving surrendered transmissions from Federation governors across the galaxy. The Core Council is requesting emergency session to discuss terms. Admiral Martinez appeared on the main screen again. Admiral Krext, your superiors have exactly 18 hours remaining to present themselves for trial. During that time, we will complete the evacuation of all human populations from Federation space. Any interference will be met with immediate retaliation. How? Krext asked desperately. How did you hide this capability for 3 years? We didn't hide anything, Martinez replied. We simply allowed you to see what you expected to see. Your arrogance prevented you from recognizing the true nature of human industrial capacity. Every civilian facility you observed was actually a military installation. Every merchant vessel was a warship in disguise. Every research station was developing weapons technology decades ahead of yours. She paused, her expression showing grim satisfaction. Did you really believe that a species capable of reaching the stars would accept slavery willingly? We signed your charter because it gave us time to prepare. We studied your technology, your tactics, your weaknesses, and when you finally revealed your true nature by executing Staff Sergeant Chun, we were ready. The transmission shifted to show footage. From Kepler 442b, human vessels were landing at the former Federation base, their crews wearing uniforms that Krex now realized he had been seeing for 3 years without understanding their significance. The soldiers moved with military precision, their equipment far more advanced than anything in Federation arsenals. The graves you helped dig are being excavated, Martinez continued. The children you murdered are being laid to rest with full honors. The families you destroyed are being remembered, and the soldier you executed will be Avenue. Admiral Krex was reviewing casualty reports from the Kepler 442b operation when the first alerts reached his command center. 3 hours had passed since the execution, and he expected to see signs of human submission across their territories. Instead, his tactical display showed something impossible. "Sir," his Vorthic communications officer called out, her normally pale complexion even whiter than usual. "We're receiving distress signals from the Arcturus sector. The entire 7th Fleet has gone silent." The Admiral's 4 eyes narrowed. The 7th Fleet consisted of 8 dreadnoughts and 36 escort vessels, patrolling the outer rim of Federation space. Technical malfunction. Have the 4th Fleet investigate? The 4th Fleet was stationed near Proxima Centauri, sir. They've also stopped responding. Last transmission was 47 minutes ago, a report of unknown contacts approaching their position. Before Krex could respond, another officer spoke up from the sensor station. "Admiral, we have multiple hyperspace signatures emerging throughout Federation space. Massive ones. The computer estimates vessel sizes in excess of anything in our databases." The main display shifted to show a tactical map of Federation territory. Red warning icons appeared across dozens of star systems, each representing lost contact with Federation forces. The pattern was systematic, coordinated, and happening with impossible speed. How are they moving so quickly between systems? Krex demanded. Even the fastest Federation ships required days to travel between distant sectors. Our intelligence indicated human technology was centuries behind ours. His intelligence chief, a cybernetic Zephyrian named Vexkar, manipulated holographic controls with mechanical precision. "Sir, our assessments may have been incomplete. These energy signatures don't match any known human vessels. The power output readings are extraordinary." On monitoring station Delta 7, technician Yilmuth watched her sensors with growing alarm. The massive contacts approaching her position defied every law of physics she understood. They seemed to exist partially outside normal space, their energy signatures fluctuating between dimensions. "Command, this is Delta 7, she transmitted. "Unknown vessels approaching at impossible velocity. They're not using hyperspace drives, it's something else entirely. They're moving through space-time itself, bending reality around them." The response came through heavy static. "Delta 7, maintain observation and report. Do not engage." Yomuth's compound eyes tracked the approaching signatures. "Sir, these aren't ships. They single quotes installations. Mobile installations the size of small moons. I count 17 distinct contacts, each one larger than our biggest dreadnought. They're surrounding my position." The transmission cut to static. Admiral Krexith watched 17 more icons disappear from his display. "Get me a direct line to the Galactic Council, now." While his communications officer worked frantically to establish contact with the Federation's governing body, Krex studied the tactical display. The attacks weren't random, they followed a precise pattern that eliminated Federation forces while avoiding civilian populations. Whoever was responsible possessed detailed intelligence about Federation military deployments. "Admiral," the communications officer announced, "I have Counselor Zarquin on priority channel." The holographic image of the ethereal counselor materialized above the command table. Zarquin's energy form flickered with agitation, the usual serene blue glow now pulsing with urgent orange highlights. Admiral, our monitoring stations across the galaxy are reporting catastrophic losses. What is your assessment of the situation? Unknown forces are systematically eliminating Federation military assets, H replied. The attack pattern suggests advanced intelligence gathering and technology far beyond our estimates of human capability. Human? Zarquin's form shifted to a dangerous red. You believe this is connected to today's execution? The timing suggests correlation. However, sir, these vessels don't match any known human designs. The technology appears to be quantum dimensional manipulation on a scale that should be impossible for any single species. On the remote research station orbiting Kepler 186f, Dr. Kexlian was conducting routine experiments when his instruments detected an approaching anomaly. The massive object seemed to phase in and out of reality, its hull composed of materials that absorbed all sensor scans. Magnificent, he whispered, forgetting protocol in his scientific enthusiasm. The vessel was over 20 kilometers long, its surface covered in geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. Command, this is Research Station Gamma 4. I'm observing a vessel of unprecedented design. The hull appears to be composed of quantum-stable exotic matter. The response came immediately. Gamma 4, maintain distance and observe only. Do not attempt communication. Dr. Kexlian watched in fascination as smaller craft detached from the massive vessel. These were clearly built for combat, their sleek forms bristling with weapon systems that operated on principles beyond his understanding. They moved with perfect coordination toward the nearby Federation patrol station. The attack lasted exactly 97 seconds. The patrol station's shields collapsed instantly under weapons fire that seemed to bypass CONVN, IONAL defensive systems entirely. The station's hull simply ceased to exist, disintegrated at a molecular level without any visible energy discharge. Command, Dr. Kexlian transmitted, his voice shaking. The patrol station is gone. Complete molecular breakdown. These weapons operate on quantum principles that we don't understand. And sir, there's something else. Report? The attacking vessel is transmitting identification codes. They're human. Admiral Krexith received the report with growing disbelief. That's impossible. Our intelligence networks have monitored human space for 3 years. They possess no vessels larger than their crude colonial transports. Vexcar's mechanical voice cut through the chaos. Sir, we may need to reconsider our intelligence assessments. I'm receiving reports from deep space monitoring stations that human, industrial activity has been far greater than our estimates. Hidden construction facilities, advanced manufacturing capabilities, resources that don't appear in any official Federation surveys. Are you suggesting they've been lying to us for 3 years? I'm suggesting they've been preparing for this moment since the day they signed the Federation Charter. The tactical display updated again, showing Federation losses mounting by the hour. Entire fleets had vanished without trace. Military installations throughout the galaxy reported attacks by vessels that appeared from nowhere, struck with devastating precision, then disappeared back into whatever dimension they had emerged from. Get me our fleet commanders, H ordered. Every available vessel is to converge on the Sol system. If the humans want a war, we'll give them one they can't win. But even as he gave the order, H felt a growing unease. The coordination of these attacks suggested planning that went back years, possibly decades. The technology being displayed exceeded Federation capabilities in several key areas. Most disturbing of all, the enemy seemed to know exactly where every Federation military asset was located on Earth. President Chun stood in the Situation Room beneath the White House, surrounded by military commanders whose faces showed grim satisfaction. The holographic displays showed the progress of Operation Prometheus, humanity's response to 3 years of Federation oppression. Status report, she requested. General Harrison, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, stepped forward. Phase 1 is proceeding ahead of schedule. Our deep strike assets have eliminated 67% of Federation military capability in the outer sectors. The Prometheus fleet is maintaining quantum dimensional supremacy, and enemy forces have no effective countermeasures against our exotic matter weapons. Casualties on our side? 0 confirmed losses. The dimensional shielding is holding, and our intelligence network's predictions about Federation capabilities were accurate. They're completely unprepared for quantum warfare. President Chin nodded grimly. And Phase 2? Ready to commence on your order. The core worlds will be more heavily defended, but our assessments indicate Federation technology cannot effectively engage targets operating in quantum dimensions. The President looked at the tactical display showing the location of every Federation world. Each represented billions of lives, most of them innocent civilians who had no knowledge of their government's crimes. Target only military assets. No civilian casualties unless absolutely necessary for defensive purposes. Understood, ma'am. However, I should note that several Federation worlds have significant human populations in labor camps. Our intelligence suggests the Federation plans to use them as human shields. President Chun's jaw tightened. Then we make sure they don't get the chance. How long until Admiral Krexith realizes what he's really facing? General Harrison checked his chronometer. Intelligence estimates another hour before. Federation Command accepts that conventional tactics won't work against quantum dimensional warfare. By then, we'll have eliminated 90% of their military capability. And when they surrender? That will depend on whether they're willing to accept our terms. Full withdrawal from all human territories, reparations for war crimes, and the trial of Federation leadership for genocide. The President turned back to the display, watching as red icons representing. The broadcast reached every corner of the Galactic Federation's territory within minutes. Trillions of beings across thousands of worlds watched as Staff Sergeant Marcus Chun of Earth's Special Forces stood shackled before the Tribunal of Cosmic Justice on Centauri Prime. His green beret sat crooked on his head, blood trickling from a split lip where the Vorthic guards had struck him during transport. Admiral Krexth, a towering reptilian draconis with scales that gleamed like polished obsidian, presided over the tribunal, his 4 eyes fixed on the human with obvious disgust. Behind him, holographic displays showed the burning remains of a Galactic Federation supply depot on the contested world of Kepler 442b. Human designation Marcus Chun. Krexith's voice boomed through the universal translators, creating an ominous harmony in a dozen different languages across the galaxy. You stand accused of terrorism, destruction of Federation property, and the murder of 47 Federation personnel. How do you answer these charges? Marcus lifted his head, his dark eyes meeting the Admiral's gaze without flinching. Blood had dried on his uniform, but his posture remained straight despite the neural restraints coursing pain through his nervous system. I was following orders to protect civilians from your so-called peacekeeping force. A ripple of outrage passed through the alien tribunal members. The Vorthek prosecutor, a pale humanoid with elongated limbs and completely black eyes, stepped forward. The accused shows no remorse for his crimes against galactic peace. The Federation liberated Kepler 442b from human colonial oppression. This terrorist actions resulted in the deaths of our humanitarian workers. Marcus laughed, a bitter sound that carried clearly through the transmission. Humanitarian workers? They were executing children for speaking English. I did what any soldier would do. The camera feeds showed reactions across the galaxy. On Earth, crowds had gathered in Times Square, Trafalgar Square, and every major city. Military personnel in uniform stood rigid, hands clenched into fists. In space, human vessels from the Colonial Defense Force maintained radio silence, but their weapon systems had quietly come online. Admiral Krexth H. raised his hand for silence. The Federation has shown remarkable patience with humanity's aggressive tendencies. Your species was granted membership despite your primitive nature and history of violence. This betrayal cannot be tolerated. Betrayal? Marcus's voice rose. You invaded our colony. You outlawed our language, our customs, our right to exist as humans. When parents begged for mercy for their children, your people shot them in the streets. I stopped them the only way I could. The tribunal had already reached its verdict before the trial began. This was theater, a message to humanity and every other species in the Federation. The Galactic Council wanted to demonstrate the consequences of defying their authority. Earth's admission to the Federation 3 years earlier had been conditional. Humanity would prove their worthiness through absolute obedience. The prosecutor displayed holographic evidence. The destroyed depot. The bodies of Federation personnel, security footage of Marcus planting explosive charges. What they didn't show was the mass grave his team had discovered outside the colony's school, or the recordings of children crying in fear as Vorthic soldiers dragged their parents away. The evidence is clear, Admiral Crext H. announced. The defendant acted with premeditation to commit acts of terror against lawful Federation operations. However, the Federation is merciful. We offer the accused a chance to renounce his actions and cooperate with our investigation into the terrorist network operating from Earth. Marcus remained silent for a long moment. The cameras captured every detail of his battered face, the defiance in his eyes, the way his jaw tightened. Finally, he spoke, his voice steady and clear. My name is Staff Sergeant Marcus Chun, United States Army Special Forces. My serial number is Alpha-7-7-4-9-2-1. I am a soldier of Earth, and I followed my oath to protect the innocent. I have nothing else to say. The words sent a chill through Federation officials watching the broadcast. They recognized the format, name, rank, serial number. It was an ancient human military tradition, words spoken by prisoners of war who refused to break under interrogation. The defiance was unmistakable. Admiral Crexith's scales darkened with anger. So be it. The tribunal finds the accused guilty of all charges. The sentence is death by neural disintegration, to be carried out immediately. The execution chamber was a sterile white dome beneath the tribunal platform. Marcus was escorted down by 6 Vorthic guards, their weapons trained on him despite his restraints. The neural disintegrator looked like a simple chair surrounded by crystalline projectors. That would systematically shut down his nervous system, causing excruciating pain before death. As they strapped him into the device, Marcus looked directly into the main camera. His voice carried across the galaxy one final time. Tell them I kept the faith. Tell them what they did here. And tell them... He paused, a grim smile crossing his face. Tell them the Green Berets send their regards. The neural disintegrator activated with a high-pitched whine. Energy cascaded around Marcus in brilliant arcs of blue-white light. The camera feed showed his body convulsing as the device systematically destroyed his nervous system. The process took exactly 3 minutes and 47 seconds. When it was over, Staff Sergeant Marcus Chun was gone. Admiral Crexith addressed the cameras directly. Let this be a lesson to all who would challenge Federation authority. Humanity's place in our galaxy depends on their willingness to evolve beyond their primitive violent nature. Any further acts of terrorism will be met with similar justice. The transmission ended, but the damage was already done. Across human space, military commanders received coded signals that had been prepared months in advance. On Earth, the President emerged from an emergency session with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, her face grim as she approached the podium in the White House briefing room. My fellow humans, she began. Her voice carried to every human settlement in the galaxy. Today we witnessed the murder of one of our finest soldiers. Staff Sergeant Chun died defending innocent civilians from genocide. His sacrifice will not be forgotten, and it will not go unanswered. She paused, looking directly into the camera. The Galactic Federation has shown their true nature. They view humanity not as partners but as subjects to be controlled and eliminated when convenient. They have made a grave miscalculation. In the depths of space, hidden installations that the Federation had never detected came online. Weapons that violated every galactic treaty powered up. Ships that didn't appear on any official registry began moving toward their targets. Humanity had spent 3 years preparing for this moment, hoping it would never come but ready when it did. The green, Beret's final words weren't just defiance. They were a code phrase that activated something the Federation could never have imagined. Humanity's true military capability, hidden beneath layers of deception and misdirection, was about to reveal itself. The execution of Marcus Chun had just signed the death warrant of the Galactic Federation's reign of terror on monitoring stations. Throughout Federation space, technicians began detecting anomalous energy signatures. Hyperspace sensors registered massive distortions as something vast moved through the dimension between stars. Communication arrays intercepted encrypted transmissions, using quantum entanglement methods that shouldn't exist. Admiral Crext H returned to his command center, satisfied with the day's demonstration of Federation power. He had no idea that in his moment of triumph, he had just triggered humanity's ultimate contingency plan. The execution would be remembered as the moment the Federation signed its own death warrant, though they wouldn't realize it until it was far too late to matter.